Agent gets the call from agent in charge, and he says, hey, the boss needs to go now. Right now, we need to go. So go downstairs, get the car, go down to valet. Agent says, no problem, got it. Hangs up, goes out into the hallway. The elevator is there. Just by pure dumb luck. Like, wow, just rolled the dice, the elevator's there. He gets in, gets on the elevator, hits lobby. The doors close. Elevator goes down one floor to 19. Doors open. He looks out, nobody's there. He gets back in, he hits lobby. Elevator goes down 18. Doors open. 17. He's losing his mind. He thinks, what is going on? This is like some crazy malfunction. What the hell is going on here? He's probably to about 10, and his phone rings. And it's the agent in charge and says, where are you? We're already down in valet. Where are you? He says, I'm on the damn elevator. It's stopping on every floor. It's like possessed by a demon. And the agent in charge says, did you get on the Shabbat elevator? And he says, what's a Shabbat elevator? And he says, it's an elevator that on the Sabbath, it automatically stops on every floor, so you don't have to push the button and make light, which is doing work and is sinning. You just get on the elevator and don't touch anything. And it just automatically all day just goes floor to floor to floor to floor to floor to floor. I'm not making that up. Yeah. So again, just understand where you're at. Understand where you're operating. And again, we'd look at that and say, that's madness, that's crazy. And then we do crazy things in our own little culture. Punctuality. Are there cultures where if they say, let's start at noon, noon means sometime between 4 p.m. and midnight the next day. They're that lazy as far as showing up, right? It's kind of, yeah, whatever when we get there. And are there other cultures where it's very, very rigid and noon means what? Noon means that at 11:30 a.m. they will be there ready to go, and they'll be in business. I want to talk about this last one here. This is, at least in my opinion and my experience, I find it fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So I want you guys to imagine that we are not in the U.S. Okay, you guys are in the class that we're in, but we're going to do this class, and we are in. We're in Malaysia, okay? You guys are sitting in PSOC, and you're in Malaysia. And all of the other students in class are Malaysian. And you're American, okay? And the instructor tells you, okay, we're gonna have a group assignment on Friday. And you guys need to pick a class leader. Who are they gonna pick? You. They're going to pick you because you're American. There is an assumption that you've got some magical thing pumping through your blood, some magical DNA. You've got this leadership gene. You bring something amazing and awesome to the table, and you're going to get picked to be the leader. Okay? Now I want you to flip that. Now we're here. We're in San Mateo. We're in this class, and sitting in the very, very back corner of the room, there's one guy from Malaysia who speaks about 14 words of English, and he's back there just smiling and being nice to everybody, but he barely is hanging on and understanding what's going on. And I tell you guys, my class of Americans, I tell you, all right, Friday, there's a group assignment. You guys need to pick a class leader. How many of you are even going to remotely consider that guy in the back of the room? It's not even going to cross your mind. It's just going to be, hey, just you guard a fire hydrant. You just stay close to me. Keep your mouth shut. Just watch what happens. That's normal. Right? So again, there's this love-hate thing with Americans. Our military, we travel all around the world and we train other people, right? The military from Ecuador never comes to the U.S. to train us. They never come here to teach us things. That doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. It works the other way. Do you guys understand that? So just understanding how that submissive nature works. We're going to flip over to page 40. We're going to kind of talk about the second half of this module. Now that we've discussed the protocol component, I want to talk about table etiquette. If we are protecting business persons, high net worth individuals, love it or hate it, they're going to exist in environments and associate with people and go to places that are going to be of a formal nature. And if we don't understand how to take and navigate these circles, we have a possibility of embarrassing ourselves. You guys get that? All right? So I don't care if you were raised poor. I don't care if you were raised in a single wide trailer and lived on food stamps. There's no judgment there. There's no anything. But we're not there now. We're not there now. And we need to understand how this works. So that being said, before I even get into that, I'll tell you guys, I deduct everything on my taxes. Everything. Everything. If I have a membership at a mountain to snowboard, it's because I need to be able to snowboard double black diamond because I protect clients who snowboard double black diamond. That's a training cost, right? So if you have a gym membership, if you take and you snowboard, if you take your significant other out to eat for 5-star dining, that's a training cost. So I encourage all of you to go do this, right? And keep the receipts. This is, no, that was a class. That wasn't a dinner, that was a class. Right? Get some experience on this, get some reps so that you are comfortable navigating this experience. We've gotten some great feedback from so many students in the field who have found themselves with something arrayed in front of them that looks like this drum kit of glass and steel, and had to figure out what this is, and we're better prepared of how to take and navigate this. So,
Ryan,
yes, please.
important point. Please drive that home. Even though we're from a different background than the people that we work with, you cannot let your mindset going into, that Brian is talking about training, you cannot let yourself, that kind of negative self-talk. You have got to be comfortable swimming in those circles. And you cannot let your negative talk of like, well, that's not me. I'm not comfortable around that. That is going to produce a tell.
Absolutely.
You are not going to be confident going into those. You deserve it. You need to be there as part of your profession. Have that mindset that this is who you are going to be. Get comfortable with all that. So
I want to trail something else too off of what Brad said right there. You might be protecting someone and the client doesn't understand this, or the client exhibits poor manners or poor etiquette or poor protocol. This is not monkey see, monkey do. Just because the client isn't good at it doesn't mean we can get away with being good at it. That's not justification for us doing that. Do you guys remember the Republican presidential candidate John Kasich? You remember him? He's from Ohio. There's some pretty funny videos of him. His table etiquette is so bad, they were making little videos that were montage videos of him, and they always seem to catch him with huge mouthfuls of pancakes and pizza and all kinds of things along those lines. But anyway, so what I want to do is we're going to go through this, and at the end, we're going to go around the circle, and I'm going to ask everybody to tell me one thing, at least one thing that you learned as we went through this that you didn't know. Some of you, it might be 34 things. Some of you, it might be 12. But at least one thing that you were not aware of when we took and dove in here. Napkin, let's talk about the first thing there. So, when we take and arrive at our formal place setting, one of the single biggest mistakes that people make with the napkin is they don't touch the napkin until they need the napkin. So if we first sit down, we don't have food at all. We don't have food yet. We don't have drinks. We don't have anything. And that napkin just sits parked there. Not correct. That napkin gets picked up. It goes into our lap immediately. If this is an overhead view of you, that's your nose, those are your shoulders, I encourage you to take your napkin and place it like a diamond in your lap and fold the top edge over. Everybody understand that? So what does that do? That creates essentially double thickness coverage up highest on your waist where anything may land in your lap. If you go to a formal enough establishment, this is a very snobbish thing that I do. I instantly am judging the formality of an establishment, because if it is, there won't even be napkins on the table. There won't be, right? So I sit down and I've got Stephanie with me. I'm in a black suit, but Stephanie's in a white dress, right? So what color napkin does everybody get? I don't get a white napkin. I have a black suit on. The lint from a white napkin is going to do what? It's going to leave white lint on my black suit. So I will get a dark colored napkin. She'll get a white colored napkin. So they're giving you a napkin based on what you're wearing. Who's eating in a restaurant where that happens? Okay, those of you who haven't, like, wow, not Outback. Mind blown. All right, so that's one thing. Next, your napkin, unlike Uncle Harry, your napkin is not a handkerchief. You guys got that? We don't blow our nose at the table and then inspect it for yield. We don't do that, all right? That doesn't happen. Everyone knows that person. I know they're not in the room, but everyone knows that person that does that. So that doesn't occur. If we have to excuse ourselves from the table, if we have to get up, go to the restroom, go take a phone call, anything along those lines, we'll do what? Wipe our mouth, excuse ourselves, place our napkin in our chair, push our chair in, right? Not pushing your chair in is the equivalent of leaving your grocery cart in the middle of the parking lot, right? So just kind of, I'm done, leave your cart there and walk away. Push your chair in like an adult. So if you take and leave that napkin there and you leave the table, what typically happens while you're away from the table or gone? One of the staff will come over and either replace it with a fresh napkin or pick it up, fold it into a pterodactyl origami type structure, place it back down, and it'll be waiting for us when we come back. Everybody understand that? Where does our napkin go at the conclusion of the meal? Do we take our plate that is covered in sauce and mess and everything and place it right in the middle over the top of it? A lot of people do that. Don't do that. Keep it in your lap until it's time to take it and leave the table, and then either place it in your chair when you leave or place it to the left of your service when you get up to go. Does that make sense to everybody? Good? So there are a number of rules, so to speak, and we're just on the napkin. Just on the napkin. Let's talk about the charger. What do we mean there? So when we sit down, there will typically be what looks to be a plate that's right in front of us. And that is not called a plate, that's called a charger. You can see it in the diagram right there. And that is there as a marker, so to speak, for them to properly place forks and knives and spoons at the correct interval. But initial courses will come and they'll be placed on top of those. And the charger will remain until we start getting into the more main courses, and then that'll be taken away. That'll get removed as we go. Let's talk about bread and butter plates. And while we're talking about bread and butter plates, let's talk about drinks as well. How many folks have ever sat at a table, usually round, and while sitting at the table, I look at you and I say, is that your water or is that my water? Is that your bread and butter plate or is that my bread and butter plate? Who's ever done this? Everybody's done this, okay? So everybody do me a favor. Put your pen down. Get 2 free hands, shake them out. And everybody go just like so. Everybody got it? Bread, drinks. BD. Everybody got that? High left is your bread and butter plate. High right is your drinks. Don't ever put your hands up like that at the table. Don't ever do it. You do it down here, down below. Don't cross them. Everybody understand that? So let's go through rules and regs on that. Let's talk about that bread and butter plate for a moment. Where will that be placed? That'll be placed up like so, high left. Usually a small plate. Who's ever seen a bread and butter plate that has a small butter knife on it? Who's seen that? Okay? So first rule on the bread that may be going around, or rolls or biscuits, right? Could be biscuits. Do not act like a squirrel preparing for winter. So when the muffins come by, these are great. I'm taking 4 of these. No, we don't take and do that, right? We'll take one that'll take and go onto the bread and butter plate. Next, efficiency. Efficiency is not the name of the game. So almost every other endeavor in life, we want to be efficient. But in this case here, formal dining is long. Long. Who's ever been to a formal meal and it's 3-4 hours? They're long. They're not quick affairs.